My name is Jason, and I want to tell you a story. A story about how an ordinary family dinner turned my life upside down. And to be honest, I'm still not sure if it was for better or worse. So, imagine this. Friday evening, my wife Sarah and I are sitting at the table across from my mother-in-law Evelyn. The usual routine. Chicken soup, salad, small talk. You know, things like, how's work? Oh, you've lost weight, and other joys of family life. And then Evelyn suddenly starts talking about her youth, saying that there were times when she and her late husband never missed an amateur race. They prepared the cars themselves, spat sand through their teeth, in general, lived life to the fullest. I'll be honest, I was surprised. I always thought of my mother-in-law as a kind of dry businesswoman who only knew how to talk about her auto parts. And here's this: racing, adrenaline, technical creativity. Turns out, she's got more than just gears spinning in her head. But the most interesting part was yet to come. When Evelyn admitted with a sigh that she and her husband never managed to take first place, my heart just ached. So much passion in her voice, so much unquenched thirst for speed. Those Fast and Furious movies with their pathos have nothing on her. And then I got carried away. I don't know what came over me. I guess the spark in my mother-in-law's eyes was contagious. Evelyn, I say, why don't you get back on the track? You know, for old time's sake, I'm sure you haven't exhausted all your reserves yet. My mother-in-law almost choked in surprise. But to my amazement, Sarah supported her. Apparently, her daughter understood better than I did how much her mother missed it. We spent the whole evening discussing the details: where to get spare parts, how to get the car in shape, where to best go for the first start. And at the end, Evelyn suddenly turned to me and asked with a kind of uncertain smile, "Jason, would you like to help me? You know, tinker in the garage, twist some bolts. After all, it'll be more convenient with two people." I nearly choked on a chicken leg in surprise. So what? Now my mother-in-law and I are kind of like partners in racing matters? Wow, what a world we live in! But the excitement was already boiling in my blood. After all, what do I have to lose? I'll chat with my mother-in-law, get smeared in engine oil. But what an experience! What emotions! Plus, I'll please my wife once again. "Of course, Evelyn," I cheerfully reported. "I'll be happy to help you return to big-time sports. When do we start?" The next morning, I stood in front of Evelyn's garage, shifting from foot to foot in the cold. Not that I was scared, but it was kind of uncomfortable being alone with Evelyn. What if I say something unnecessary or screw on the wrong nut? I'll be disgraced forever. My emotional torment was interrupted by the creak of the opening door. There stood Evelyn, and I nearly dropped my jaw on the asphalt. Instead of her usual business suit, she was wearing a worn denim jumpsuit, smeared with engine oil. Hair carelessly pulled back in a ponytail, not a gram of makeup on her face, except for some unusual, almost girlish liveliness. "Good morning, Jason," she sang, flashing a white-toothed smile. "Ready to join the secrets of automotive craftsmanship?" I nervously swallowed and nodded. Damn, who is this woman? And what has she done with my uptight mother-in-law? Is garage romance really that powerful? But there was no turning back. Evelyn had already grabbed my hand and pulled me inside, chattering along the way. "Oh, Jason, you can't even imagine what I'm about to show you. It's just a treasure, a relic, the dream of my life." With those words, she flew up to some massive structure covered with a tarp. With one motion, she threw off the cover, and my breath caught. It was it! Legendary, predatory, gleaming with polished metal. A 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SS. The ride every self-respecting car enthusiast dreams of. Damn, I wouldn't mind racing behind the wheel of such a baby myself. "Wow!" was all I could squeeze out, staring at this magnificence in fascination. "Evelyn, this is just the bomb," my mother-in-law grunted contentedly, stroking the shiny hood. "You bet. Henry and I put so much effort into it, spent so much time. You know how insulting it was when he, well, you understand?" She faltered and turned away. Only now did it dawn on me how important this was to her, how painful the memories of an unfulfilled dream and a lost husband were. I wanted to go over, hug her, comfort her. "Okay, stop, Jason. I think you've galloped off in the wrong direction. This is your mother-in-law, after all, your wife's mother, by the way. The last thing you need is to get all lyrical over retro cars." "Ahem, well then," I said briskly, clearing my throat. "Where do we start? I'm sure this baby will show what she's made of." Evelyn perked up, her eyes lit with an excited gleam. "Oh, we've got a ton of work to do. First, we need to check the engine, then work on the suspension. Are you ready to help an old lady remember her old skills?" I nodded uncertainly, rolling up my shirt sleeves. "Well, come what may. After all, what do I risk? I'll get dirty, I'll get scratched. But what an experience, what emotions." "Always ready, Evelyn," I reported cheerfully. "Show me what's what, and let's get to work. Let's turn this sweetie into a real racing car." The next few weeks flew by in a flash. Evelyn and I spent days on end in the garage, digging into the engine, changing parts, arguing ourselves hoarse about the advantages of disc brakes over drum brakes. I had already forgotten that I once considered my mother-in-law a bore. Now I saw a completely different person in front of me. Passionate, enthusiastic, alive. To be honest, it scared and fascinated me at the same time. I never thought you could dive headfirst into someone else's dream like that. To feel this delight, this anticipation of victory with every cell of your body. And to think, at first I just wanted to please my wife and brighten my mother-in-law's loneliness. Who knew it would go this far? Every day our conversations became more personal. We talked not only about racing and engines, we shared memories, hopes, intimate thoughts. Evelyn talked about her late husband, about her crazy love for him. I talked about doubts, about the fear of not living up to others' expectations. And with each such conversation, I felt something new and fragile growing between us. Some inexplicable attraction that made me feel hot and cold. I felt it particularly acutely when one day, while trying a racing helmet on Evelyn, I accidentally touched her hair. It was like an electric shock. I froze, afraid to breathe. I think she felt that spark too. She looked up at me with eyes full of confusion, nervously licked her lips. There was a pause that made my jaws clench, and then Evelyn suddenly pulled away and declared with feigned cheerfulness, "Well, Jason, I think we're almost ready. All that's left is to test our baby in action. How about a trial run on the weekend?" I swallowed the viscous saliva and nodded. "What's happening to me, damn it?" I found the time to swoon like a snotty romantic. We're doing business here after all. I need to pull myself together and put aside everything unnecessary. After all, Evelyn is old enough to be my mother. Even if she's a damn attractive mother, I have to admit. Okay, stop. Jason, stop it right now. You're a married man. What the hell are you getting all mushy for? Pull yourself together, you rag. So what if you touched your mother-in-law? She probably didn't even notice anything. It's your imagination running wild from overwork. For the rest of the day, I tried hard to keep my distance. I avoided looking Evelyn in the eye, moved away if she got too close. And in the evening, when I got home, I stood in the shower for a long time, trying to wash away this strange, viscous tension. It was going pretty badly, frankly speaking. Already lying in bed next to my peacefully snoring wife, I feverishly replayed the events of the past few weeks in my head. What's happening to me? Why am I so drawn to Evelyn? It's wrong, it's immoral after all. I have to stop this nonsense before it's too late. With these thoughts, I sank into a heavy, restless sleep. I dreamed of roaring engines, silver flashes on the turns, and Evelyn's face, so close, so desirable. And in the morning, I woke up completely wrecked and even more confused than before. Definitely, it was time to decide something. Otherwise, I risked completely going off the rails over my murky fantasies. But how the hell do I get back to normal life if even in my dreams all I do is chase unattainable dreams? And here it is, the moment of truth. The day when Evelyn and I's work was to pay off handsomely. The day of the first test drive. And let's face it, the day of my final realization. From the very morning, everything went wrong. To start with, I managed to spill half a can of energy drink on myself while trying to calm my pre-start jitters. Then I couldn't find the car keys for a long time and ended up being a whole half hour late. When I finally got to the agreed-upon place, Evelyn was already waiting for me. She was standing, leaning against the shining side of her beloved Camaro, and impatiently tapping her foot on the asphalt. Seeing me, she frowned and threw sarcastically, "Well, finally, Sleeping Beauty. I thought you'd taken root there, or were you afraid of my crushing victory over you?" I snorted, trying not to pay attention to my pounding heart. Ha, dream on, Evelyn. I just decided to give you a little head start. Out of respect for age and all that. My mother-in-law narrowed her eyes and gave me a mocking look. Oh, you shouldn't underestimate old lady Evelyn, my boy. Today I'm going to kick your ass to kingdom come. Prepare for a humiliating defeat. With those words, she nimbly jumped into the car and slammed the door right in front of my nose. I just opened my mouth at such impudence. What a spiteful old woman. Well, nothing. Now I'll show her what's what. Evelyn, hold on tight. The next half hour blurred into one continuous adrenaline rush for me. The roar of engines, the screech of tires, the wind whipping in my face, it was all more intoxicating than strong whiskey. Evelyn and I raced down the deserted highway, overtaking each other on the turns and sending each other defiant glances. It was like a crazy dance, a game with no rules. And damn it, how I loved it. When we finally stopped, panting and wiping the sweat from our foreheads, I felt completely drained, and at the same time, incredibly alive. As if all the worries and doubts of the past days had simply evaporated, burned up in this wild, primordial delight. Evelyn climbed out of the car, beaming like a polished penny. She came up to me, slapped me on the shoulder. "Not bad, Jason. For a rookie, you race pretty well. Maybe I'll make a real racer out of you yet." Her touch sent a shock through my body. I froze, afraid to move. Slowly, I raised my gaze, meeting her eyes, crazy, burning. There was something in them, hungry, dangerous. And at that moment, everything fell into place. To hell with fears, to hell with conventions. I want this woman. I want her like I've never wanted anyone or anything before. And I'll be damned if I don't take what I desire. I don't remember what happened next. I only remember the heat of her lips and the wild pounding of my heart. It was like a volcano erupting, like an engine roaring, like a tidal wave sweeping everything in its path. Passion that made my eyes darken and my legs buckle. We came to our senses already in the car. Half naked, soaked in sweat, intertwined in some unthinkable tangle, and still unable to tear ourselves away from each other. "Damn, Jason," Evelyn breathed out, burying her face in my shoulder. "What have we done? We shouldn't. This is wrong." I buried my face in her hair, inhaling the scent that had become familiar. Inside, everything was singing and ringing with an intoxicating feeling of euphoria. "I don't care. Do you hear me, Evelyn? I don't give a damn about rules and propriety. I want to be with you, here and now, and come what may." She breathed in sharply, then again, and then she suddenly laughed, lightly, almost happily. "Oh, Jason, what are you doing, you shameless man? Fine, have it your way, but let's agree. What happened today stays just between us. Deal?" I nodded, feeling my heart skip a beat. Now Evelyn and I had a shared secret, forbidden, vicious, warming like a sip of brandy on a frosty day. And I knew this was just the beginning of something truly special. The next few days turned into one continuous pink haze for me. I was flying as if on wings, not noticing fatigue or everyday worries. Even Sarah looked askance at my idiotically blissful face. But I didn't care. I was basking in my forbidden happiness and didn't want to think about the consequences. Evelyn and I continued to work on the car, but now everything had changed. Now every touch was filled with hidden meaning, every glance a promise of something more. We seemed to be living in our own little world, where neither guilt nor fear of exposure existed. On the sly, I began preparing a surprise for Evelyn. Without her knowledge, I sent an application to participate in the nearest amateur race. I wanted to make her happy, to arrange a real celebration. After all, she had been dreaming about it for so many years. It's time to make that dream a reality. And then, finally, the day came. The day of the race, the day of truth. Evelyn, unsuspecting, came to the garage as usual. Seeing me, beaming like a copper basin, she raised an eyebrow in surprise. "Jason, what are you grinning about? Did you find a treasure or win the lottery?" I winked conspiratorially and waved the race pass in front of her nose. "Better, Evelyn, today your dream will come true. You'll hit the track and tear them all up, because you're the best, and now everyone will see it." Evelyn's eyes widened in surprise. Then she grabbed the pass, stared at it as if not believing her eyes. "Wait, so you signed me up for the race? Jason, how did you, why?" I shrugged, feeling the blood rush to my cheeks. "Well, I thought you needed it. You've been waiting for it, hoping for it for so many years. And then, after all our work, it would be a sin not to try, right? Evelyn was silent, still clutching the ill-fated pass in her hands. A whole storm of emotions was reflected on her face. Surprise, fear, gratitude, anticipation. And then she suddenly stepped up to me and hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Jason. Really, thank you. I don't even know what to say. This is the best gift anyone has ever given me." Her embrace made my head spin. I carefully pulled away and looked into her eyes. "Well, ready to kick those youngsters' asses? Let's show them what's what." Evelyn laughed, ringing, happy. The familiar mischievous sparks lit up in her gaze. "You bet! Old Lady Evelyn will show them a thing or two. So, shall we?" And we hit the road. We went out on the track as if onto a battlefield. Evelyn was glowing like a Hollywood star on the red carpet. She was nervous, of course, but she held up well. And when the race began, it was an unforgettable sight. Evelyn raced down the track like a fury, masterfully taking the turns and overtaking her opponents. I was screaming and whistling in the stands, my voice hoarse with delight. And when she finally crossed the finish line first, my heart just leaped with pride. She did it. She won. After so many years, so many trials. She fulfilled her long-standing dream, for which she had dedicated half her life. And looking at Evelyn glowing with happiness on the podium, I realized this was our shared victory, not only over the competitors, but over time, over circumstances, over our own fears. We walked this path together, and together we reap the fruits. What will happen next? Who the hell knows? So it turned out that our story has an open ending. I still have to explain myself to my wife, deal with my own conscience. But I don't regret anything. These days spent with Evelyn changed me, forced me to take a fresh look at life, at relationships. And even though I don't yet know how to proceed, one thing I can say for sure. I am grateful to fate for this unexpected gift, for bringing me together with an amazing woman and giving me unforgettable emotions, making me feel alive, young, reckless. And I will always keep these memories in my heart as one of the brightest, most exciting episodes of my life. Thank you, Evelyn, for awakening in me something I didn't even suspect, showing that it's never too late to dream, to take risks, to go after what you want. Wherever the road takes us next, I will always remember this moment, the moment of our shared triumph. And nothing can ever take away from me this sweet, incomparable feeling. Because on that day, on that racetrack, we both found freedom. The freedom to be ourselves, to follow the call of our hearts, to cast aside doubts and simply enjoy the moment. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.